After Alexander II was assassinated, his son, pictured right here, Alexander III, became the next Tsar of Russia. This guy here, Alexander Ulanov, and his comrades conspired to assassinate the Russian Tsar Alexander III on March 1st, 1887, 6 years to the day that his father, Alexander II, was assassinated. Police figured out that when Alexander III visited church on the anniversary of his father's assassination, the plotters would throw bombs into his carriage. It became known as the Second 1st of March. The plot was foiled by police, and this guy here, Alexander, and 4 of his conspirators were hanged May 20th, 1887. What does this have to do with Vladimir Lenin, the father of communism? Alexander was Lenin's older brother, and Alexander's execution was a major factor in motivating Lenin to become a revolutionary socialist. Vladimir Lenin was born April 22nd, 1870 in Simbrisk, Russia. And here in Russia, if we zoom in, right into here, go down to Street View. You can see right here, this is the house of Vladimir Lenin's childhood. I believe it's a museum now, and you can see there's a sign here saying that this was the house that he was born in and the one that he grew up in as a young child. Lenin eventually became the father of communism, and when he was 17 years old, he attended college here at Kazan University, which is this structure right here. If we go down to Street View, you can get a view of the front of the university. So this is the front of the university. And you can see once again, there's a sign up here with his liking on it, or an image of him. And across the street, you can see a statue of him when he was younger. This was supposed to be a statue of him when he was 17 years old and attending Kazan University. So here I am in front of Kazan University, where Vladimir Lenin studied law and earned his college education. And right across the street, right behind me, there's a statue in his memory, right here. And it's actually a statue of him when he was younger, when he was a college student. And if you look close, you can actually see this depiction of him. He actually has hair. Now, if you look at the depiction of him up in front of the university, you can see he's older and he no longer has hair there. Either way, this is where Vladimir Lenin went to college, studied law, and earned his college education, right here in Kazan. While he was attending the university, right here, he became involved with a political group and participated in a demonstration against government restrictions that banned student societies. As a result, he was arrested, expelled from the university, and sent to his family's home in Kokushkino, Russia. His mother pleaded to allow him to return, and it was permitted, but he was not allowed to attend Kazan University anymore. When they moved back to Kazan, the family lived in this house right here. There's a house right here. And they lived there from September of 1888 until June 1889. And it was during the 9 months he lived here in this house where he developed his ideology for communism after studying Karl Marx's ideology known as Marxism. If we go down to Street View, you can get a view of it from this street. Right in here. It's a museum now. And it's back here hiding behind these trees right in here. So it was from this house right here that the entire communist ideology was born. A guy by the name of Vladimir Lenin moved in here in September of 1888, lived there 9 months with his family till June of 1889, and it was in those 9 months that he studied Marxism, and Marxism became the foundation for his ideology, his political views, and eventually communism. Now, we all know that communism only lasted 74 years, but we are still feeling the repercussions of that today. Essentially, it all began right here from this house, from a guy named Vladimir Lenin, who was the father of communism, and that ideology was born in his mind right here in this house. Now I'm going to go inside. As soon as you come in, they make you put shoe covers on. There they are. My shoes are all covered and ready to go. I guess that way I don't scratch the floor. So this is basically the main entrance. Yeah. This door here, and this door here. So they came into the house through one of these doors, and they could put their shoes here, coats here, and make their way into the house. So as you make your way into the front door into the house, you have the steps right in front of you, and just to the left, right here, this is the bedroom of Lenin, where he slept. This is his desk, his chair, and that's actually a book right there of Karl Marx book about Marxism. This is where the father of communism lived when he was 18 for 9 months. Going upstairs now. Man, there was short people in this house. You have to duck or you're going to hit your head real easy on some of these ceilings. I already hit my head in a doorway. Pretty fancy dining room setup. Piano, that's supposed to be the original piano that was in this house when he was here. At the end of the hallways is a very short door, low hanging door. I would hit my head on it if I didn't duck. The bedrooms go back toward the stairway, back toward the living room. It's a very small house, a very small museum, but this is the house where communism was born. And most likely, well, these stairs are dangerous. It was most likely born right there inside that room, Lenin's room. In 1893, Lenin moved to St. Petersburg. We'll go up to St. Petersburg now. And it was in 1917, from this building, known as the Smolny Building or the Smolny Institute, where Lenin ordered the October Revolution of 1917, which officially brought the Tsar leadership and the provincial government to an end. Tsar Nicholas II abdicated his rule in February of 1917. A provincial government took over. Lenin basically disagreed with them and overthrew them to take full control of Russia. I'll go to Street View to see what we can see from here. And the building that he ordered the revolution from in the October Revolution of 1917 was this building right here. This building is called Smolny, and it was here in this building that Vladimir Lenin actually began the revolution, the October Revolution in 1917. He started it from right in here. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to go inside because it is currently an active Russian government building. In 1918, Lenin moved into the Kremlin to govern Russia. The Kremlin in Moscow. We're going to go to Moscow now. And he lived here in the Kremlin. The Kremlin is here. The red wall that surrounds it is here. And this right here is actually Red Square. And while he was living here, August 30th, 1918, he was shot twice in an assassination attempt after giving a speech at a factory in Moscow. However, he survived. And it wasn't until 1922 that the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, was established. However, in 1923, Lenin began experiencing health problems, and he finally died from these health problems on January 21st, 1924. After his death, Joseph Stalin became the new leader of the Soviet Union. And Lenin is currently on display in Moscow at the mausoleum in front of the Kremlin in Red Square. This building right here, and if we go down to Street View, you can get a view of it. So here is Red Square. This is the Kremlin, the Red Wall, Kremlin and the Red Wall. And this right here is the mausoleum where Lenin is on display. Here I am in Red Square. On this end, there's a museum. Over here is a great big gigantic mall and a beautiful old looking structure. We have St. Basil's or St. Basil's, however you want to pronounce it, down at this end. And over here we have the Kremlin, which is the red wall, and inside the Kremlin, this building here is basically the building or the house or the palace that Putin lives in. That thing right there. And just outside the Kremlin, it's kind of hard to see because the sun is on the wrong side right here. So here it is a little closer, you can see it a little better. But this is Lenin's mausoleum, where his body lies in state inside of a glass coffin. They don't allow pictures in there, but I have seen it. And there's a big line of people that come up to see this. So this is his final resting place. Right in here, it says Lenin. This is his mausoleum where his body lies in a glass coffin. All of these people are standing in line to go into the mausoleum to see Lenin's body in state lying in a glass coffin. some photos online. Here is a photo here. This is pretty much what he looks like. His face is exposed inside of a glass coffin. His right hand is folded like you see here. His left hand is extended. I leaned in as far as I could from off to his right side, and his index finger on his left hand had a wrinkle in it, which told me it most likely is real skin. Although over the years they have had to do some cosmetic work on him, probably wax work. But they say that for the most part, this is Vladimir Lenin inside his mausoleum in Moscow, outside of the Kremlin in Red Square. So there you have it. Vladimir Lenin, the father of communism, a very brief history of his life, right here from Google Earth.